power. I think the battery's up, but I'm charging, I got a backup battery. Here's the backup.
6:10, let's call our meeting to order, please. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we have minutes from our previous meeting dated August 12th. Does anybody have any additions or corrections or amendments?
The one edit that we discussed about the accountant or the CPA that was here, Aaron Finley, instead of Daniel Dalton.
Yes. Yeah, above and beyond
Okay.
the changing of the names.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there being none more, let the record reflect that the minutes were adopted as revised. And due to some time constraints, is Clay online?
Clay's at another meeting. He's going to call when he can come in, and he'll be on my phone, and then I'll put it on speaker so that he can be here.
Okay.
But at this moment, he is in another meeting.
Okay.
And then President of the Porter County Council, Andy Vasquez, is in a health board meeting. And he said that if it doesn't run long, he will be late for the meeting, but he will try to get here if at all possible.
Okay.
Just so he can, check on the updates, and if he's here, then I can hand him our capital improvement plan. So we'll
Perfect. Thanks.
it'll be in hand. Otherwise, I'll deliver it tomorrow.
Okay. So moving on then, can we have a trustees report, please?
Yeah, there was quite a few things that were going on. It looks like the post office is on the road to hopefully being completed by 4th of July of next year. You have a copy of the new proposed layout. I have the original proposed layout over here in case you wanted to see it, but due to conversations with the architects and the engineers and the county and the post office, and with the new Willow Creek highway that's proposed to come through there, it was determined that it would be in the best interest for location to get it at the northwest corner of the Union Township Community Park, and it'll be a drop-in-place building, and it's not going to be very large, but we will have a post office back, and we'll maintain 46393 as our Wheeler post office address. Even though Wheeler is not incorporated, it'll still have that name for the post office. And then in addition to a number of other things, I think I must mention that we discussed proposed legislation for the next legislative session with State Representative Julie Olthoff and the Winfield Township trustee and the Porter Township trustee. Jeff Enright was also there at the meeting, along with a member of his family who was doing an in-person study, and one of Julie Olthoff's staff. And it was very interesting. If we can talk about it later, or Jeff, would you like to interject any comments that you have from that? You have a copy of the proposed legislation, but it's not to be disclosed at this time because it's just conversation.
Yeah, I think most of the conversation, I think Cody, he's the trustee from Winfield.
And he's also the president of the Northwest, or the commissioner for Northwest, 12 counties.
He took the lead in breaking down the statute, especially this sheet that George provided us as well. And talking with Julie, and some of the redundancy of the townships, especially in regards to township assistance. He showed us a map of Lake County, Porter County, maybe Jasper County. There's three counties.
LaPorte County.
And there were some of the townships like Gary, there's thousands of assistance requests. And then some of the townships, there was literally the talk about consolidation and merger within their townships, Cody had this sheet here where it was in essence a point system where the townships would evaluate, if it's in their best interest to merge with a neighboring township. And one of the metrics was.
If you wanna see that, I have that metric here.
That was a map that Cody had.
But it's broken down into details by township, if anyone wants to know. I think it's too much detail at this
Yeah,
time.
I agree. Other than that, we talked a little bit about the tax levies of the new legislation, how that would impact property owners. We didn't really get into detail at all about the revenue sharing between the public schools and the charter schools, which is a big part of that legislation. More than anything, it seemed like it was more about township consolidation, I think was
Yes.
the major part of the conversation. I got there a little bit late, I don't know if
Well,
other stuff beforehand.
There was a task force over the last couple of years. We have annual meetings, and a couple of years ago, we were, discussing the proposed legislation, which was then Senate Bill 1. And, we thought we'd do a task force to get ahead of it, and that's how this information was detailed. So the people on the board and I think there's there's a bunch of commissioners, maybe it's 7 commissioners, one from each, area of the state. I think Cody has 12 counties, and, there's 92 counties altogether, so break it up that way. The less populated counties have more counties in their area. For example, around Indianapolis, I'm sure it's fewer, that it might just be one for Marion County. But they collectively got together with attorneys and legal representation to come up, plus, legislators, to come up with concepts on what could be done to, alleviate the confusion and issues that come up. What's right and what's good or bad about the legislation, how we can improve the situation. So that's essentially what that task force did, and that's where this material came, in general.
Is there any timeline for when a potential decision might be made?
So this is gonna be proposed legislation at the next legislative session. One is gonna be introduced, and I don't remember which senator and which state representative is gonna introduce it. I think Niemeyer is gonna introduce it in the House. And there's a senator, and I don't remember her name, I know it was traditional spelling, it was a rather long name. And I don't recall her name, I apologize. But she is expected to be the one to introduce the legislation at the Senate. And then, you know how it works, it gets worked out and, chopped up and ground up, and whatever comes out may not look anything at all like this, but this is the initial concept. We are meeting September 21st through the 24th in Noblesville, and it'll be an item of discussion at that time too.
We also did talk about, the restriction of funds for the capital improvement manager, to talk about the strategy of the townships to perhaps not subsidize outside of your own township, the funds for roads. Pretty much everybody was in agreement with that one.
Yeah.
We wanna every township wants to keep their own funds.
Yeah, we really don't have enough money to do the things that we need to do. So, and there are some people that, just hang on to money and gather it. But I don't know who those are, because, for the most part, all the townships in this area are pretty much on the ball. And, there's things that we'd like to do that we just cannot do, because you know what the situation is in our township, and I'm sure that it's the same in others. Anyway, I'm gonna conclude with that on the report, so we can move on.
Thank you, George and Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Thanks for being there.
No problem.
So moving on to unfinished business, since some of that has to do with Clay, we'll skip over that for right now and, move on to new business. The first agenda item under new business is the capital improvement plan, so a nice segue, into that. And I guess we'll, let Andrew speak.
Yeah, appreciate that. I know I passed out some documents to you guys. I think that second one, in that stack should be the, capital improvement plan that, we put together. And I'm not sure exactly how much, Daniel and Aaron talked, just in previous meetings about it, but, I guess essentially kind of to summarize it for you, starting, this year for budgets, the state is requiring that all townships, submit a capital improvement plan, for their unrestricted funds. And essentially what the unrestricted funds are funds, where money can be allocated, toward capital improvements. So if you look on your plan, you'll see you have the rainy day fund, the general fund, the township fire, and cumulative fire fund. So those funds are considered unrestricted funds, to the state. Some examples of restricted funds would be things like township assistance, any sort of, debt service funds, funds like that, are considered restricted because they're allocated for one specific purpose, where these have a little bit more, flexibility. So kind of what this plan encapsulates or kind of shows, is it takes the, January 1st, 2027 balance that we get from our Form 4B, which is in Gateway, and essentially what the state says is 30% of whatever that balance is must be transferred into the, township road and infrastructure fund. So with this plan, it shows, this will allow, the township to show the state, to say, hey, we have plans to use these funds, so therefore it restricts that money. So that way the state cannot take that money and put it into that township road infrastructure fund, because if they take that money, that does not guarantee that the county will use it on the township's roads. They could use it for Valpor, anywhere like that, right? So by putting together this plan, it allows us to show the state that, hey, we have plans for this money, and you'll see on this front, so that as the estimated funds eligible for transfer, we populate it with projects that the township is not obligated to fulfill, but we just have to submit a plan to the state, so that way we can retain that money as opposed to losing it. And so you'll see with those projects we plugged in, that brings our, eligible funds transfer down to zero, which is good. So you guys will hang on to that cash. Obviously, one question or concern that has been brought up in some other meetings is, well, is the state gonna come back and say, hey, have you done these projects? It's so new that we don't know the answer to that as of now, but I think just with this first year, as long as we submit something, there's no guidance from the DLGF that they will do that. It's still kind of a new, statute in place, so we're still learning about it, but we're confident that as long as we submit this, the township should be safe and those funds should be secured.
There's also in the statute that levies penalties if you don't spend this money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, don't you think that every single township though is gonna get their balance down to zero for this?
They should.
Most
certainly, yeah. That's
There'll probably be some that don't.
right. Mm-hmm.
So the state will come back with some modification.
There will be another iteration.
Right.
Right, so, yeah, and that's part of it. I think, well, too, as part of this, obviously, with some of these projects we plugged in, the township's not obligated, but if there are projects that you guys are considering, it would be good to consider those, and, if we could get some estimates for this, we could plug it in. It doesn't have to be for this year's plan, because now going forward, we're gonna have to do this annually, so, but for future consideration, if there's projects that you guys want to do, it'd be good, and pay it out of these funds, that way, just going forward, you're able to lock down this money.
I'd like to interject a few things here. This isn't like the conversation that I had, because we do not own an ambulance. We have an ambulance that's on site.
Mm-hmm.
It does not belong to us, so we don't have a ambulance. We're purchasing a aerial ladder, 110 foot with a bucket, and that's coming in soon. That's at $1.6+ million.
Mm-hmm.
So this ambulance stuff is not accurate. I imagine we might need a new pumper at some time, but pumper tanker, but the key is that we have something that we have to pay for very soon,
right,
or at least begin paying for, and we're looking into, at least one way or another, we're gonna have to finance
right,
close to 1.6 million. So it's inaccurate, I think, that the current ambulance, because we do not own a current ambulance, we have one that's at our station.
Right.
But it does not belong to us, it belongs to the hospital.
Right, and I think, once again, kind of going back to some of these projects, you know, the township, once again, is not obligated to fulfill any of these, so while it may be inaccurate that, you know, the township may not be purchasing a new ambulance, if this is something, if we remove that, then that, once again, will open up funds that will be eligible for transfer.
Well, the comprehensive plan is gonna be $200,000 alone, maybe more. It was 80,000 the last time I attempted to do that. But, you know, of that, our cost is 20%, most of them are 80-20 matches. So if it's 200 or 300, you know, the county's doing one for 400,000, but I think that's totally inadequate for what we need for our purposes at Union Township. We need to have our own comprehensive plan.
And I remember Clay, when he took us through the statute last time, you're allowed to amend this.
Right.
Mhm.
So as far as our, in the third column there, type of capital improvement, it's acquisition, improvement of machinery, equipment, furnishings, or facilities. And I would make the argument that even if we amend it eventually and take the ambulance off, it's still under the proper category, because we'll be using it for either a fire truck or a comprehensive plan.
Yeah, and we have many,
Yep.
well, and that doesn't include, I don't see anything here about the repairs for all the cemeteries and the road that we have through the cemetery that has to be done.
Cemetery upgrades.
Yeah.
Everything on this.
Here's Clay, I'm gonna answer here and put him on speaker.
Everything on this list.
Here, Clay, I got you on speaker, I'm gonna put you in the mix here.
To the point of the ambulance.
Clay Patton has just joined the meeting.
Take over EMS services for. Good evening, gentlemen. So that may be coming to fruition.
Clay just said good evening.
Right.
Yep.
Clay said hi.
Thank you for joining us, Clay. So,
It's time,
Sorry, I'm a little tardy.
time 6:30.
Keep it on and let me know if you have any questions.
besides, George and the three board members, we have, Andrew, Eichman from Sunder. And we just started, discussing the capital improvement, plan proposal.
Okay.
So, yeah, so with the, I mean, I agree with what, Jeff was saying, that, you know, with us, our ability to amend the nitty-gritty detail at any time on that, you know, funds are gonna be needed, to purchase, you know, vehicle, equipment, et cetera. So whether it's an ambulance or pay for a fire truck, I think this is a responsible plan. And you said, George, you had concerns about, cemetery improvements and upgrades? But
Yes,
there are two line items on here that I think do say, for cemetery upgrades.
And it's not Palmer Park, it's Union Township, so that's incorrect. We have no Palmer Park.
What are you talking about, George?
2028, line 2020, that 2028 year of expense. I think we ought to at least put a correction on it, that it's Union Township Park. That's the park in Wheeler.
I don't see what you're referring to.
It says renovation of basketball court at Palmer Park, that's what I have on mine.
We don't have that.
I don't.
You don't
may
have
be
that?
looking at the correct, estimated.
Oh, hold it, I apologize.
Oh.
I got the other package.
Oh, okay.
That's the one from Winfield Township.
You go.
So I apologize.
That's what we're all
They can
looking at,
take
right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm looking at another township's information, so I apologize for my comments.
Does this one, look more satisfactory to you, George?
What's that?
Does this one look more satisfactory?
Yes, this is fine.
It addresses the
Yeah,
cemetery.
this makes, yeah, but it's not a pumper, it's a aerial ladder.
Right.
It's close enough. And we'll probably need a pumper by the time that 2028 comes around too.
Right. So if I understand correctly, Clay, from our last meeting, you know, once we finish discussion on this, we need to open the capital improvement plan up to a public hearing, and after that, we can move on to adoption. Is that still your understanding, Clay?
Yes, that's correct, so you just need to decide when you're gonna, so is this the public hearing right now, tonight, when you're getting?
We haven't opened it up to a public hearing yet, but but once we finished our discussion, we certainly.
Was it in the minutes? We did discuss the items that needed to be in at the last meeting when Aaron Findley was here. Those were some of the things that we discussed, and it was quite similar to this. I thought that was part of the hearing, and this was the adoption.
Well, no, you have to open it up for public hearing and invite comments from the public for or against. And I'm guessing that you, other than the elected officials, you don't have any residents of Union Township who are present in your room with you there.
No.
That is correct.
So I would open it and ask for comments, and then you can close the public hearing, continue to have your discussion, and, you know, if someone wants to move to adopt the.
Oh, so we can do that tonight?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you for that clarification, Clay.
Thank you, Clay.
Sure.
So amongst the board and trustee and sender, do we have any other things we'd like to ask or discuss on the capital improvement plan prior to opening up the public hearing? There being none at 6:33, let the record reflect that the public hearing to discuss the capital improvement plan is open. Public, do you have any comments? There being no public and no public comments, at 6:33, the public hearing portion of the meeting is closed. And Clay, you said we, in this case, unlike the budget, which has to be two separate meetings, we can move on to adoption of the capital improvement plan? Now, is that correct?
My understanding of the statute, you don't need to have, you know, a second reading for a capital improvement plan. You just, you know, if the members so, you know, see it to be, they do a motion to adopt the capital improvement plan and second, and any further discussion, and then vote on it. Okay,
and the proper motion, I guess, would be to adopt the resolution that, number 2025, blank at the moment, that Senator kindly provided.
Well, I wouldn't suggest that you approve a blank resolution. There needs to be some meat on the bones to it, but.
Yes, there is, yeah.
Okay.
It's, whereas IC 36-6-9 requires all townships to adopt the capital improvement plan before September 30th in order to be eligible to receive proper tax levy in the ensuing year. Whereas Union Township and Porter County has prepared budget forms that project December 31, 2026 cash balances in each fund. And whereas the Township Board and Trustee has developed a list of capital improvement projects looking forward at least 3 years. And now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing was held to adopt the capital improvement plan as required for Union Township, Porter County.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to approve or adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, so adoption.
Thank you, gentlemen.
WJE 3-0. And we're signing everything now, Clay.
Okay.
Do we need an original signature to go forward to the Porter County Council?
Is Was that a question you were asking,
Yes.
Clay?
Clay?
What was, I couldn't hear what he said.
Do you need an original copy, Clay?
No,
You need a copy.
you can just scan and email it to me if you want. That's
Okay.
good enough for me.
Okay, then moving on to our next new business, item is the 2026 budget adoption. At our last meeting, of August 12th, we did discuss it and open it up to a public hearing. Does anybody have any other comments before we move on to adoption? There being none, do we have a motion to, adopt the, 2026 budget?
Whomever wants to take it. Sure. So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Congratulations, Mr. Trustee, on, presenting another, approved budget.
And thank you to all those helping, pass along the word to Senator Dalton.
Okay, and the next item under new business was the post office. Is there anything more besides what was included in the trustees' comments that we need to discuss about the post office?
No, but I do have copies of the original, some of the other drawings and some other ideas that we had, and explanation if you would like, as far as where it's gonna go now. I'm supposed to meet with somebody from an engineering firm to go over the last details, and I would like somebody, one of the board members to be there if possible, so that there's someone besides myself to be on site. But I don't think we have much to say about it at this point. If they do it, the target is to have it done by the 4th of July by next year and in place. But, that's only as good as whenever they deliver the materials, and, it's up to the post office at this point, from what I can see. And it looks like, the site work has been done to some degree, and it's been discussed with the county. So I think we've got, the T's crossed, the I's dotted from this point. I'm sure there'll be some other things, but it looks like it's gonna go on the northwest corner of Union Township Community Park. And, that should also make it a draw for people to come to the park. So that's why I would like to allocate the funds that we get from the lease of that property to go back into that location to make it nicer for the community. And some of the improvements that we wanted to do with the park for years, to make it happen. Like get people playing baseball there again, get the volleyball, pickleball courts, get the gazebo fixed up, so people could picnic there. But we also are gonna need more land for parking, and we have to resolve some of the legal issues with the transfer of property from the school to the Fifth Street Club, so that we can determine access to the current primary entrance. The Fifth Street Club has been very cooperative in discussing things with us, but we may want to go forward with something more formal so that we can actually make that a reality. And perhaps the county park board might be able to help us with that too.
Yeah, I think I know someone who can give us some ideas.
That would be awesome.
I concur, it would be awesome. We can
Are
finally
you
do it.
looking for a motion to move on further, or this is general information right now?
Well, it's general information, but I would like to, see if we can not let it fall through the cracks at this point, because I think we got a good opportunity and a window to the world, so to speak, so that we can get that park back and get people there and make it, a community, activity center.
I agree.
It'd be wonderful for the community, and with the potential development coming in that area, this is the time to do it.
Absolutely. I like the plans or the scheme concept that you submitted. It looks really nice. I think it'd be a fantastic thing for us going forward in the future. So whatever you need us to do. When's that meeting that you were talking about, do you know?
I've been waiting for them to tell me, but, people were on vacation. They'll be back this week. starting tomorrow. So far, it looks like I've submitted all the forms that are required from us, from the township. Now it's back in their court, and, we should be seeing a lease agreement. I am going to try to negotiate for a little better lease, opportunity, but, the key is, let's get that thing there. Let's get the post office going and have it for the people.
Agreed.
People over politics, people over, you know, the costs, would be nice if we could get more money to go back into the park. And it's, an 10-year with some options on the lease, the proposed lease, but this isn't the lease, so until we see the document, you know, it's probably gonna be similar to what we've looked at from, you know, the sample lease that was included in the package.
I know there was a need and then an awful lot of work, and now we're really close, and appreciate your efforts.
It's been a real journey, that's all I can say. And bumping your head against the wall a number of times, but I also, at this point, I'd like to thank Porter County Commissioners, Porter County Council for submitting letters, Representative Julie Olthoff, State Senator Charbonneau, and, all the community members that had written letters, and had, Senator Braun's office was particularly active in getting it back. Tony Ferraro, who was his representative as a senator, he beat his head against the wall with the post office for a long time. And I did have a comment from the post office that, yes, you know, there were some people, at the highest levels that were interested in this. So, it wasn't just the local people, it was a lot of help from a lot of people. So my thanks and a tip of the hat to all those people. And of course to the staff too for bearing with me.
Any other comments on the post office? Do we have any other, new business matters to discuss? Anything anybody would like to bring up this time?
I would say that, at the TIP meeting for the Regional Planning Commission, the plans for the Willow Creek, were continued for funding for the future, and I did speak to the engineer on the project. He advised me that prior to, the EPA is finally picking it up and, going to finish and provide us with the report. When the report is done, it looks like it'll be favorable. There will be a public hearing prior to Thanksgiving is the estimated time with the county. So there'll be another public hearing, and then we'll probably expect to be approved by the commission because we have a substantial amount of revenue already in this concept. At that time, they'll start acquiring property after the first of the year, and probably break ground sometime during this coming fiscal year, which starts October, right? So it'll be probably prior to October of next year. We'll break ground for phase one. That will take a couple of years, and then there's things in the works for phase two, which is the part that is predominantly in the Wheeler area, which is that bridge that is going to be, from what I've seen, it looks like it's going to be a you know, pretty nice place, and it's going to generate a lot of, probably, you know, I can't tell you whether it's going to improve property values or whatever, but I think it's going to do a lot for drainage improvements, because we do have a lot of flooding issues in there, traffic, and then there'll be safety, because you will be able to go over 130 and go over the railroad track, so there'll be no at-grade crossing. And then as it goes down to phase 3 and phase 4, the other crossings will not be at grade, so you'll be able to go through without having to worry about, you know, being stopped for a train by a half an hour or whatever it might be. Because I'm sure.
What's your knowledge, will there be, even though it's going over 130, will there be access on and
Yes.
off from 130?
Yes.
And that could be an injection in the old Wheeler as far as
Absolutely.
not just property values, but opportunities for businesses and stuff like that.
Absolutely, and I've been hearing from a lot of people inquiring, and did meet with the mayor of Portage and the mayor of Valparaiso, because they have many projects going on. As a matter of fact, there is another activity going on in Portage that might, just a note of interest, a new roundabout that's going in somewhere around 94 and the toll road. So there'll be another major roundabout going in that area. I don't know exactly where, and I don't know if it's, probably not for disclosure at this point, because it's in the preliminary phases, but there's a number of things going on, and there's a lot of development, and they're working on possibly developing utilities heading towards Union Township, going towards 700, and I think you've probably seen some of that in the paper. But there's a number of things going on there, and they also approved a lot of funding for the roundabouts in Valparaiso, which would be at Lincoln Way, which is right downtown there, and then connecting down to US 30, and also that new hotel that's going in on 30. Those will all be interconnected to go with the Journeyman to make a entertainment area, so to speak. At least that's what it appears. So there's much going on, and of course we're on the peripheral of that. So there's a great demand, people, you know, asking questions and looking at things, and of course we don't know what the status is, other than they did not vote. They decided not to vote on the data center. It doesn't mean that we won't have a data center, but it does mean that there's a lot of development, and a lot of people are looking at that 800 acres for what are we going to put there. That's why I want the comprehensive plan. I want people to know where we're going and how we get there. And then, you know, as we go along, markers for how, you know, if we're going in the right direction and we've arrived. And that's critical to the future of this community, I think.
So with the Willow Creek, with phase one scheduled to start October 2026, is there a projected timeline on?
2 years.
Two years? And then phase two would kick off sometime after that?
Phase two will be subsequent to that, and then probably, roughly 10 years, taking it down to 30. I think that's a fair estimate, so 2036-ish. Of course, this project's been in the works for 40 years, so.
Right.
So, when it shows up, that's when it's gonna be there. I think that's a fair statement to make.
Well, extending 149's been in the works for almost 50 years now, so.
Yeah.
We're ahead of schedule.
And if you know, 149 was a preferred route that many of us had mentioned, and there were, that wasn't included in the 7 routes that we had the opportunity to take a look at, for this particular project. And there were 20-some people on a citizens committee that were, involved in the conversations, and, there was a lot of public hearings that, nobody attended until after the engineering studies had gone forward, so. But we do need it for the safety of our citizens too, because then the ambulances can get there without being stuck by the trains. Mm-hmm. If you have a meeting in Portage from leaving Shorewood Forest, you might be able to get there on time sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we've all been stopped by the trains for.
Kids almost every day.
Yes. Yeah, and that goes into some other projects that I've been trying to get done to see what we can do for the future, to have more turn lanes, because we've had traffic backed up all the way past Shorewood Forest on 500. So as you know, in the past, we've tried to get turn lanes in certain places. And with the extension of Willow Creek, that's going to mean more traffic, but we've got more people wanting to move to this area. So we also need sanitary sewers, and we need all those things that, go along with the infrastructure necessary for sensible and responsible growth.
Thank you for the update on Willow Creek. So, an important topic. So do we have any other new business to discuss? There being none, we'll loop back to unfinished business with Clay with us. Are we what is the status on, receiving the, list of assets and what's insured and so on with the Union Volunteer Fire Department?
Okay, I met with, the chief again and asked him, and of course I was told I was going to receive it. I have not received it. I called him again earlier today, and, awaiting a return call.
Thank you for continuing to try.
I'd like to take this opportunity to wish ourselves the best of luck.
Right.
But we have to do that, and I also, in a conversation I had last week, was a reminder about how do we title this equipment, because it may be coming in between now, well, I'd say later this year and the beginning of next year for that large dollar amount piece of equipment that's, gonna be very good for safety, but we also have to pay for it. And, we also need to be responsible in knowing who owns what, or what's gonna happen to it if they have it titled in their name, that it comes to the township when it's, if anything dissolves or it's disposed of.
So I know, earlier, our course of action to try to resolve that was, initially, first step was to try to get an asset list and start from there and work our way through. At some point, if they continue to deflect that request, we're gonna need to make a decision on the new truck, because that is coming up, fairly soon.
That was 1.6 mils, I
Yes.
think what you said?
Yeah, who knows what, add-ons they're gonna have, so it's at least that amount. It looks like First Source is going to be the, bank that provides the funding for it.
So Clay, do you have any suggestions on how we should proceed if, George's requests continue to get deflected?
I would suggest that he make these requests in writing via email. And if you wanna copy the board and copy me on it, and then I can take that email and forward it to Dan Whitten to ask him if he is still the attorney for the.
I asked that question, and Dan, I don't believe Dan is. Somebody from Hobart is the new attorney for them.
Oh, I think you mentioned that, and I think that's Dan's brother-in-law, Adam Mendel.
Okay, that could be, cause Mark our chief couldn't recall what the attorney's name was.
If you can't remember who your attorney's name is, that's a really good thing or a really bad thing.
Well, it makes sense that it would be related to Dan Whitten, because I think our chief and Dan have known each other for a long time.
Yeah. So it's Dan's wife is Stacy, and formerly Stacy Mendel, and Stacy's dad and brother are attorneys, and I think her dad's retired by now, but I'm pretty sure that's Dan's brother-in-law.
So,
Is that a Mundell from Hobart?
Yeah.
Okay, Hobart Field, Mundell Field.
further correspondence should be in writing at this point.
Yeah, if you have.
Email the chief, and then.
You have some suggested verbiage.
If you wanna copy all this on it, or if you wanna forward it to us afterwards, and then I can reach out to Adam.
How about some suggested verbiage to put in there to make sure that I, am specific to the point?
Just say, I'm following up on my verbal request for a list of assets owned by volunteer fire department. Because you wanna make sure that, if they're claiming, especially these big ticket items, they're owned by them, and we can disagree and debate it, but while we're doing that, we wanna make sure that these assets are insured.
They are insured. They're supposed to give me a certificate of insurance annually. I don't know that I get one annually unless I ask. But according to the chief, they're supposed to do it automatically.
Down at Burns Harbor, and, they have fire trucks that have fender benders or accidents, I don't wanna say all the time, but it's.
We've had that.
Regular enough that I know it's happened more than
Yeah, it's happened here too.
They're on, you know, all the 149 and 20 and 94. Well, you guys have US 30. What happens when you're having a fire truck crossing US 30 or turning on to 30 to get to Shorewood?
Yeah, we've had many fender benders, but they are insured.
Blows through it or doesn't see the hear or see the sirens, and then just you have a totaled fire truck, and then it's not insured or underinsured, or you're not named as an additional insured. I mean, that's just a whole lot of problems that you don't want to have.
I've talked to their insurance agent before. I've got their name someplace, and in fact, I even took a class from that insurance agent. And we did have one last year, not this year, but last year, where I got a call from the mother of the student that was going to Wheeler and just got in a new car and had a collision with a fire truck, and they were covered, and it was taken care of by their insurance company. And the parent was very, very pleasant and said, yes, they took care of it very responsibly. So that was last year, but they're supposed to provide me with a certificate of insurance each year.
So the next step, if I'm hearing correctly, would be for George to make the request in writing, via email at minimum, and copy you correctly.
Items, ownership, insurance. Yeah. Especially bigger ticket, not disposable items, but the bigger ticket items.
Okay.
And what dollar amount should I target? 15,000 or and above, or?
I would say 5 or 10,000.
Yeah, I think in a prior meeting when we were discussing this,
10,000?
like 5,000 was what was recommended.
Yeah.
Well, a set of firefighting gear is like $3,000 or $2,500 or something like that. Just one outfit. So, and they have 30 some or 40 sets of that.
I don't mean to interrupt, I gotta hit the road.
Yes,
But,
thank you very much for your help.
I appreciate it. You know, these are just, business cards, just in case you need to reach out to me directly. I know, you guys probably get in touch with Danny and Aaron quite a bit, but, in case you guys need to reach out to me for anything.
We have your email now too.
Yep, that's right. Happy to be a resource in any way, so.
Thank you very
Yep,
much,
no
Andrew.
worries.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew.
George, nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Here's my card as well.
Okay.
And then for the sign form, or when you scan that, could you send, either me or Danny a copy of
I
that?
think we just
Okay.
need to
Okay.
And I have how many days to sign? I'll probably do it
meeting date.
tomorrow or something.
Yeah, we can probably, if you send us,
Yeah,
or I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
maybe Danny or Aaron will walk us through just getting it submitted.
I've
got it, but we don't
Yeah,
have
I've been
right.
right.
Yeah.
As long as they've had
Yeah.
this system.
Right, yeah, so, but yeah, if you could just send us the copies of signed, forms for that'd be great, so.
Okay.
Awesome, sweet.
So you want the,
And in conclusion,
oh.
You're out there.
Andy, you know, Andrew
Andy?
Vasquez?
Oh.
Andrew Eichmann from Senator Dalton.
President of the County Council.
Okay, got it.
Okay. By the way, Andy Vasquez, President of the Porter County Council, has arrived.
Hey, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, you guys are done, right?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Oh, sorry, I was at the, health department, I'm liaison to that office. So I had
Well,
to
come
go
on in
back.
and join us.
Thank you, sir, for coming. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay,
We're
thank
just
you.
getting ready to wrap things up here.
Then I came at the right time.
And in conclusion, you're right.
As far as our, year-end, meeting.
What date?
To close out the year, does anybody have any dates we should be avoiding, I guess? Might be the easiest way to look at it.
How about on a Tuesday in December, or when, or November, December? December?
I know normally we have it in December. I think we tried having it in November before, and then we had to loop back and schedule something in December again.
Mhm.
First Tuesdays are 2, 9, and 16, and then you get the 23rd, that's the Christmas season, so.
Yeah,
Well,
23rd's too close.
2/9 would be better, 16, it happens to be somebody's birthday that I know,
Okay.
like the higher authority. You want?
So, why don't we look at, the 9th and 6 o'clock or 6:30? Does anybody have a preference?
Well, 6 o'clock is fine with me, but whatever you gentlemen want, your wishes might command.
Okay. Why don't we say, 6 o'clock on December 9th? And then as far as the, organizational meeting, that's a state mandated date of, 1/6. We can pick a time at our December 9th meeting. So, now that we have some public here, do we have any public comment?
Well, I will leave it in your good hands, as you gentlemen know your township better than anybody else. Thank you, have a good night.
Okay, we do have a capital improvement plan, and I will give you a copy of, so it'll be in your hands.
And do we have a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Jeff, I'll second it. 7:02. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Capital improvement plan, how much?
Thank you very much.